A frightened woman is running down a small stream when an unseen assailant murders her. Soon after, a bird watcher is also murdered. Meanwhile, four friends Peter, Joanne, Ingrid, and Craig are trekking through the nearby wilderness. Unbeknownst to them, another tourist gets thrown over a waterfall, landing near some oblivious frolickers, and his mother is wounded and dragged away. The four backpackers set up camp for the night. Elsewhere, a pair of honeymooners named Dick and Cherry get attacked. Dick is murdered when he exits the van to investigate a noise. Cherry, now paranoid, arms herself with a small bust. The killer throws Dick's body against one of the windows and starts to rock the van back and forth, tumbling it down a small hill where it catches on fire with Cherry still inside. The next day, the two couples continue their hike. Meanwhile, the killer stabs an artist painting a scenic view to death and kidnaps her young daughter. Two more campers get butchered. The killer slits one's throat and hangs the other's sleeping bag from a tree before killing her with a spear. Alone, Peter witnesses a fisherman murdered with a bear trap to the head. The killer turns out to be a spear-wielding wild man sporting furs and rags. Peter rushes off to warn his friends, but the maniac gets to them first, slicing Craig's arm off. Craig screams, attracting Ingrid to come running to investigate, and Joanne flees into the woods by herself. Ingrid finds the campsite aftermath of Craig and Joanne and runs away. Peter later finds Ingrid at another person's wrecked camp before the two come across the wild man's cabin and go inside. They find several sleeping bags hanging from the ceiling and junk littered across the floor. Peter accidentally triggers a trap that reveals Craig's body wrapped in a plastic sheet. Peter and Ingrid flee the cabin. A hiker finds a stick covered in tiny metal objects and takes it. Peter and Ingrid hear the stick jingling, and Peter wounds him, mistaking him for the wild man. The killer tosses a sharpened stick into the hiker, killing him. Then he wounds Ingrid with two of the spears. Before he can finish her off, Peter grabs her hand, and they escape. They walk several miles before finding a chairlift and seeing a small town, which they enter. Irrational due to guilt over leaving Joanne behind, Peter escapes from the hospital he and Ingrid are brought to and returns to the woods. Joanne finds a campsite containing a dead body and flees in terror. She finds the wild man's cabin. Joanne encounters the wild man and attempts to escape through an open window but gets hacked to death with a machete. The police form a posse that includes Ingrid to hunt down the maniac and find Peter and Joanne. The sheriff finds the cabin, where he uncovers Joanne's body, leaving Peter even more distraught. The wild man claims another victim, a man in a wheelchair who is decapitated by nightfall. Ingrid steals a machete and looks for Peter. She finds him by morning, along with the savage whom they stab to death in a frenzy, only stopping when the search party arrives. As everyone leaves the forest, the baby taken from the artist is shown alone in the wilderness, playing with a hatchet.